when I first got started, I was just solely focused on YouTube. Like, I'm going to make all my money on YouTube. And I realized, oh, that's not great. I started hearing stories. YouTube took away my channel. Like, that isn't mine. And what happened if that was my sole source of income and then it's just gone and I can't connect with anyone? We can rely on YouTube for some strategy and help, but at the end of the day, if we want to form a business, it's most likely going to be off YouTube. It takes approximately 8 times for people really to sometimes like pursue action. And that only happens through time. So it's been really amazing that I haven't had to think about that element. I simply get a post, a video, and then YouTube does that work for me.
If you want to build a legitimate, profitable online business without shiny objects, without the hypey gimmicks, and without the stress and overwhelm, if you want to make more money without having to be present online all day, every day, pumping out content that nobody sees and hustling DMs to generate leads and sales, then this is the place for you. Welcome to the Digital Trailblazer podcast, your online business university, where you'll learn how ordinary people start from ground zero with no influence, no email list or audience to sell to, and no business or marketing experience, and go from working 9-to-5 jobs to building successful 6- and 7-figure online businesses and all the steps in between. Learn the strategies that worked and what didn't. Learn the mistakes that they made and how to avoid them, and then learn their plans for scaling their businesses and taking things to the next level. All so that you can build your business faster and easier and make more money without sacrificing the things that are important to you in your life. I'm your host, Leah Ray Getz, and with me is my husband, Todd. Now, let's get to it with today's guest.
Welcome, Digital Trailblazers. We are super excited to have with us Beth Sandlin. Beth is doing some amazing stuff with YouTube and memberships, and she's honestly crushing it. So I'm really excited to get into the meat and potatoes of all this. Before we do, Beth, why don't you introduce yourself? Let our audience know a bit about, what you do in the world.
So I bring Pilates directly into people's homes via YouTube, membership platform, and other means as well. And it's super exciting because it's a way that I can transcend the traditional brick and mortar. And not only is this amazing for people who maybe don't have a Pilates studio locally, but it also has really helped me just sink into my vision of Pilates. And also I get to go on vacations and not worry about the revenue anymore. And people are still able to move with Pilates, even when my schedule doesn't permit me to teach in person.
Absolutely. So it sounds like you started as an in-person teacher before all of this and then really dove into the online space.
100%. And when I first got started with Pilates in 2004, that's when I was certified, there wasn't an online space really to teach Pilates. It was, you're going to teach in a Pilates studio or gyms or rec centers. And I tried all of those. And after a while, it got to a point where there was this fear and constriction when my clients take a break because they're going on vacation. And we want people to take breaks with workouts. It was always a concern. Am I making enough money this particular month? And it actually didn't lead me right away to the online platform. Instead, I took a completely different route and got a full-time job. And it was amazing for the time period I was there. I was able to apply not only Pilates, but my health education background. And that got to be a grind, a hustle, commuting over an hour each way, not being there for my family in the way that I wanted to, working the 40 hours a week. And I realized this is no longer in alignment with what's going to serve me. And at the same time, people who were taking my in-person classes were asking, I want to work with you more. Do you have any online offerings? And that combination was really what spurred me to create first YouTube and then the membership.
So before, I want to get into all the nitty gritty, how you started, all of this stuff, what you're doing online. But just to give the audience some context, can you give them like the current state of how you're crushing it with YouTube and everything you're doing?
I think it's really the fact that I was able to take virtually all summer off, going to Alaska for over 2 weeks, coming home for about a week and a half, going on another trip and not feeling like I'm behind on work and supporting people where they are in their practice. Because in the traditional model, it's if I'm on vacation, either they find a sub. And honestly, a lot of my clients in the past used to be like, nope, I'm just going to take off when you take off, plus in addition to when it makes sense for me. And so that time freedom has been absolutely amazing to experience, let alone the revenue. So I got into the full time because I wanted job security. And all of a sudden it wasn't working for me anymore. And when I talked to my husband about, I want to start on YouTube, and he's like, well, what are you talking about? Like, you're bringing in a substantial amount of revenue. We were about equal at the time. You can't just quit. And for me, I did not have that story that you hear a lot of times with online entrepreneurs where they just quit their job and then they spend all this time and immediately opened up their online business. For me, it was, okay, I'm going to kind of do both at the same time, which was not the best work-life balance, but it also gave me the time to build up the business so that I was matching my revenue of my full-time job. And once I had that, felt secure to release the full-time job so that I can now surpass what I was making in that, quote unquote, secure job.
I thank you for doing it that way. And even just bringing it up here, because we run into this all the time where people are like, well, I'm going to burn the boats and I'm going to yeah, but you have to pay your mortgage. You've got to take care of your children. Do this wisely. It always takes longer than you think it's going to take. That's just a general rule. And so don't set yourself up for failure, or when you get into a really tight place of well, I don't have money coming in and now it's getting really hard to live. And I now don't have the money to invest into the business to actually fix the problem anyway. So what you did was really wise. And I honestly advise it to a lot of people.
Yeah. And I think the other part of that though, is that even if you, like they say, you jump out of the plane and you build the parachute on your way down, some people can do that successfully. But the thing is that when that happens, it's almost like dumb luck. Right. And so you get that dumb luck right away. It's like winning the lottery, but inevitably something happens where, maybe you built your business on a strategy that relies on an algorithm, social media algorithm or whatever. And then the algorithm changes and now your traffic is stopped and your business is like dead in the water. Now you don't have those skills that you would have built had you taken the harder path, right? Had you built this slowly, kind of learned what you needed to learn rather than have this, instant dumb luck that some people tend to have. That's kind of the flip side of that, is that it's almost better off that you don't have that dumb luck at the beginning, because now you have the skills, you have the resiliency, you have the adaptability where you can, if something happens, you can easily switch gears and it's not that big interruption where suddenly all your income is gone and you don't know what to do, right?
So help us to understand how this started for you. Okay. So on YouTube now, first, just for some context, let everybody know how many subscribers you have and kind of what YouTube is producing. And then we'll kind of backtrack into how you began.
So I have approximately 190,000 subscribers. It started with people asking me for YouTube and having videos. And I thought, I'm just going to search online. I'm going to find another YouTube channel I can recommend people to. Perfect. And what I realized, rewinding time, at that time when I was looking, I could not recommend a Pilates channel that I thought was authentic to the experience they would get in a Pilates studio or similar to a class with me. Whereas when I looked up yoga, there was a lot of different yoga channels where I felt like, yeah, that's how it feels like when I'm taking a yoga class. That Pilates was all just about the burn and a good workout. Now it can be that, but it's also so much more. And the results happen with Pilates many times when we slow it down. There's personalization involved. There's different types of classes. And that's what I really wanted to offer. At this same time, a Pilates teacher reached out to me who I used to work with and said, I'm thinking about starting a YouTube channel. And so we started about the same time. And what I did was, rather than start one right away, is I got my name on the YouTube channel and said, okay, in 4 months from now, when at university, we're going on winter break, that's when I'm going to post my first video. It gave me time to think about it a little bit more, do the introduction, which it's just hilarious now when I look back at it, because my camera persona is different now compared to that first camera persona, which took me all day, multiple days, if I'm being quite honest, to film it, and just overthinking it and overcrafting. But it's the process I needed to go through to get started. So now I rely on YouTube partially for a revenue stream, but honestly, it's my lowest revenue compared to the membership. And what I've shifted the model to is getting people familiar with Pilates and how I teach Pilates, both for if they want to go deeper within the membership and app option, or if they're interested in teacher training. I found that in both of those circumstances, they just get more out of their journey with me, and that the YouTube channel is a nice introduction either to just giving Pilates a go and seeing, well, do I even want to keep moving with this? Or for people who are interested in becoming a Pilates teacher, just before we get into this is the enrollment, this is what Trifecta Pilates offers. Well, what's included in a regular teacher training? So the information videos, kind of the common questions that I was getting from, in particular, teacher trainers, are the videos that have really helped connect people to Trifecta Pilates and the Mat Teacher Training Program.
Gotcha. And so YouTube sounds like it's been a great traffic source for you.
It really has. In fact, just this week, I was on a clarity call with someone who has enrolled now in the teacher training program. And she said, I kept seeing your videos on different elements of teacher training, like what's the difference between comprehensive, reformer, and mat, or what to look for in a teacher training program, how many hours should be included. And YouTube just kept recognizing that she was interested in these videos, so she kept watching them. And it reminded me of something I heard and have heard throughout my journey. It takes, with marketing, approximately 8 times for people really to sometimes like pursue action. And there are, of course, early adopters. When I opened the membership, there are people who raise their hand like, yep, I'm willing to give this a go, even though you don't really know what's going to be in it, because that's where I started. And then there's people who want to get to know you a little bit more and get more familiar with, I think, the business ethic, how we run the business, just who we are as a person. And that only happens through time. So it's been really amazing that I haven't had to think about that element. I simply get a post, a video, and then YouTube does that work for me.
That's wonderful. So how many people do you have currently in your low ticket membership?
In the low ticket membership, we're at about 500 people. Honestly, I'll be completely transparent. It's amazing. I love connecting with people from all around the world. And there's some people who have been with me from the very beginning. And we want this to grow because we know it's so valuable. It's not a one size fits all approach. And what I mean by that is sometimes they'll come across like, just do this 27-minute workout. That's all you need all the time. Or just follow this plan. That's really much more adaptable than that. So, for instance, someone was on a live session with us yesterday, and she disclosed, I am still recovering from my mastectomy, but I'm going to do what I can in this class. And that's really what I love being able to offer. Yes, there's those challenging workouts when you are high on energy and feeling amazing. But when something else happens, whether it's a mastectomy or ankle sprain, or you just don't have enough time, then there's shorter classes as well. So it really adjusts and adapts, which honestly is a different model than the traditional fitness model. But for a lot of people who I work with, they've tried that and they realize that's why they weren't successful with workouts, because it was the typical 1 hour I have to go to an offsite location, and it just didn't work in their life. And it was honestly ignoring sometimes other elements of why they may want to adjust their workout intensity.
Right. So you're at 190,000 subscribers now. How long did it take you to get there? When did you start your YouTube channel?
I believe I started around 2016.
Okay.
And at first it was very, very slow. If I would have invested sooner in a strategy for YouTube, it would have been so much better, especially when we compare the dynamics of 190,000, there's 500 people in the membership. Like, honestly, we want that up a little bit more, considering how many people are on YouTube with me. However, when I first got started, I was just solely focused on YouTube. Like, I'm going to make all my money on YouTube. And I realized, oh, that's not great. I started hearing stories. YouTube took away my channel. Like, that isn't mine. And what happened if that was my sole source of income, and then it's just gone and I can't connect with anyone? And it took me quite a long time to figure out, okay, so there's these online businesses, like beyond YouTube, there's online businesses like How do you set up an email? And so that strategy of like setting up an email and then having it just simply linked on YouTube, and then with some videos having a direct call to action, sign up, or whether it's a general opt-in to an email list or a Pilates series that we've done. If I could go back, I wish I would have done that sooner, because it really would have helped with the growth of my email list, number one, which would help the membership, number two.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many times, because there's channels that I subscribe to, and they're always complaining about, oh yeah, YouTube is getting rid of my subscribers or unsubscribing people without them knowing, or whenever they put a video out, not everybody's getting the notifications and things like that. And that's, like you said, that email list, building that email list is so important. And I say this over and over and over, but when you have an email list and you've built that up and you send an email to your list, you're open. Well, number one, 99.5% of people are going to get that. Every now and then you get a bad email address or somebody changes an email or something like that. So there's always a little bit of undeliverability there. But if you send an email to your list, 99+% are going to get that email. And then the open rate, a bad open rate is maybe 10%, depending on the size of your list. A good open rate, I mean, we've had open rates up around 50 to 60% on our list. And we've got a pretty good size list. That's a reach, right? If you were to compare that to a reach of a social media post or a YouTube video or something that you put on Instagram, if you've got almost 200,000 subscribers, if you put a video out, there's no way that 50 to 60% of your subscribers are going to get that video, right? You're not, it just doesn't happen. And maybe on a small percentage of channels are doing really well, they might do that. But for the most part, the reach that you, especially like on Facebook or Instagram, it's just a tiny fraction of people that are ever going to see something that you post on there, even when they follow you or they subscribe to you. But if you send an email to them, right, like your reach is so much better.
It really is. And I was right almost to 100,000 subscribers when YouTube enacted, we're going to start removing subscribers automatically from your channel. So it was like a big hit to my heart, like, oh my gosh, they're all gone.
Yep.
But now I realize it's much like cold subscribers on my email list, which if someone's a cold subscriber on my email list and I've reached out in a few different ways, I eventually just remove them. It's the same strategy with YouTube, but I know at the beginning it can feel like, I've done all this work and now all of a sudden YouTube's taking things away. But I think it goes to show, to your point, that we can rely on YouTube for some strategy and help. But at the end of the day, if we want to form a business, it's most likely going to be off YouTube and using YouTube in a different way than I would say a lot of the big YouTube experts or claim, like, have 1 million followers and you're going to, make all of this money. It can happen, but for the most part, it's incredibly slow. And I found that with the membership in particular, I'm able to go deeper with Pilates with people, which just makes it more beneficial. And it's more to my vision rather than following what's trending. That's another element. Sometimes with YouTube, I'm called to do new videos, not because that's really what I feel is going to be super beneficial, because that's trending. As an example, years ago, and y'all can look on my YouTube channel and search wall Pilates workout. It is an old video. The quality is not great at all. It is one of my most popular videos. And one of the reasons why is because maybe 2 years ago, there became an uptick in wall Pilates classes. And so that one, since it was already there, YouTube just pulled back into their algorithm like, oh, here's one that you all would like. So I don't want to take it down because honestly, it's one of my highest earning videos, which just seems ridiculous because there's so many other classes that I feel are so much better. But what that spurred me to do is, oh, wall workouts are trending. Let's create more wall classes. And as valuable as, engaging into the wall, feeling that support is for someone's Pilates practice, I'm a firm believer in Pilates is not just using the wall or not just on the reformer or not just without any equipment, that using different pieces of equipment enhances our practice in different ways. And so it's kind of like I'm being pulled to do the wall And yet I know for a well-rounded, fully beneficial practice, it is not just one type of Pilates.
Right. Now, another thing I kind of wanted to ask about, because not a lot of people may know, I know for us, it never even occurred to us to use, to try to generate revenue from YouTube with ads. Because when we started with YouTube, like the only purpose was to build our business. But you also generate revenue from the ads that run on your channel. Is that right?
Yes. So that's really for my YouTube revenue, the ads that are running either most likely before the video, sometimes mid-roll video or after, or how YouTube channels, for the most part, are making revenue. I decided after one collaboration, and the collaboration went well, but I just felt like, you know what? I don't want to be like selling this specific gliding disc to people
Mm.
because honestly, any gliding disc or paper plate could swap out for a gliding disc if someone's just getting started. So I don't do a lot of collaborations in that way, which I know a lot of YouTube, especially YouTube influencers,
Mhm.
rely on. Then there's also like super chats or
Mm.
like coming on to a live class and, you can drop money in via YouTube. So I tend to rely more on just the one revenue stream. If I was all in on YouTube, I can definitely diversify, but that's really not where our business is at, nor my heart. It's really just getting people familiar with Trifecta Pilates and seeing if they want to go deeper, either through the membership or the training program.
So, what has been your strategy on content, right? So, people know, like, great, you got 500 people in a membership. That's phenomenal. They're getting started on YouTube, but they have no idea, like, how to structure their content, how to come up with their topics or their titles or their thumbnails. Like, walk us kind of through your process that has really allowed you to reach what you've been able to do.
The number one thing is consistency. That's really what it is. And for, I would say, the past many years, it's been approximately one video a week. I do tend to take some breaks. So, for instance, the past few weeks, we've been really focusing on the program that we've been doing. It's a 4-week live Pilates series and also enrollment for the teacher training program. So just decided, you know what, we're not going to post that one video cadence per week like we typically do. We'll get back on it. And I would say this year in particular, that we're going to be looking into how to diversify that even more. So it's been the one video a week and then maybe an information video on teacher training programs or other insights on, for instance, the different styles of Pilates classes that we feature at Trifecta Pilates, because that's new for a lot of people to help set them up. Do you want that power workout? Do you want restorative, and how to find and navigate those? So that's an area that in the next month, I actually just invested in a course to just fine tune that element a little bit more. And here's the thing. I feel like whenever we get really comfortable, like I'm really comfortable with the one cadence class per week, that it's also not growing in the way that we want it to, because sometimes we're just stuck in that same pattern. And so that pattern disrupt, learning something new that isn't going to be, honestly, it's almost like autopilot. I can structure, a good variety of classes from very short to longer, beginner to more challenging, and be set for a really long time. But it's going to take more thought process, more planning for this other structure. And what's going to happen as well, more likely than not, there's exceptions to the rules, but my videos are going to go down the views, and being okay with that because we're focusing on a different element and not just how many people are moving with us on YouTube, but are you getting to know kind of the ethos of Trifecta Pilates?
Okay. So especially for something like Pilates, or if, you're a fitness instructor or yoga, if you're doing videos every week, how do you come up with new content every week? Because I don't know anything about yoga or Pilates or anything, but I do weightlifting, and so I know that. But even with weightlifting, it's like, okay, well, if you're in a 12-week program, maybe you've got 12 weeks of content, but what after that? In my mind, it'd be really easy to run out of ideas of what to do every week. Are you doing the same workout every week? Are you adjusting somehow, or how are you coming up with new content for Pilates?
Well, one is really from my personal journey with Pilates, where yes, sometimes hour-long workouts hit the mark. And then when I was working full time, it was like, when I was starting to get back into working out, because my workout schedule was so sporadic, it was just 10 minutes. So I play with the time a lot, from very short workouts to full length workouts. And now on YouTube, mainly you'll see 30 minutes and under full length that we kind of reserve for the membership, just because it takes more time to develop those and film those, all that back end. Then we layer on, well, what equipment are we going to use? What level is this? What is the purpose? Is it total body, or is it lower or upper? And really, I get a lot of inspiration from people who ask me, I'm looking for this particular type of class, or in the membership, we have Q&A calls, and sometimes they'll say, my shoulder has been feeling a little bit irritated. And I think, do I have enough videos to support that type of release and relaxation? And if the answer is yes, amazing. But if it's no, then that's an opportunity for me to teach a new class. So I would say we just keep expanding what is available for people. And it's opening up the box of that traditional 1 hour class, which is how I taught Pilates for 7 years, was that full length, hour-long class. And for a lot of people who I work with, the hour-long class with Pilates is more of a luxury that they'll maybe do once a week because they're working full-time or they are on summer vacation. And so they're doing something else during summer vacation rather than just Pilates. They're hiking or biking or whatever outdoor activities they enjoy doing. And so Pilates at that point in their life becomes a side note, and maybe the hour-long workout isn't needed anymore. So there's, I think, a lot of opportunities to add variety. And if I ever get stuck, I just go back into what worked well for me in the past, what people are asking for. And yes, once in a while, I'll do a quick search on YouTube to see what's kind of trending. So if you, for instance, type in like 15-minute Pilates, sometimes it will fill in for you like 15-minute Pilates abs. Oh, well, people are searching specifically for a 15-minute Pilates ab workout. Then why don't I film one of those? And I mean, the list can go on with how you can do a YouTube search for just extra information of what people are actually searching for.
Yeah, I think that's a really good tip to use that completion matching in the search bar. And not only that, but we've used it in different platforms as well, because different platforms will give you different ideas of what's trending on those platforms. So we'll do YouTube and then we'll do Google. And then also just looking, another one that we've done is we'll look at other people's YouTube channels, and then we go to their video section, and then you can sort by their most popular videos. So that's a good way of just seeing, well, what's the most popular content on somebody else's channel versus what's actually, what are they doing right now? And so if they've done something that's super popular, that's a topic that we haven't covered, a lot of times that'll be something that's like, oh, well, we should maybe talk about that. So
yeah, I love that. It's just gathering ideas and then sitting with it long enough to make it yours. And I bring this up because I didn't realize that people actually just legit like steal, like from some of my videos. I was looking up wall workouts and someone was so nice and tagged me like, oh, I did a wall workout with Trifecta Pilates. It was my first time doing a wall workout. This is my experience. Amazing. And then like 2 months later, this is more of an influencer. So there's something sometimes different with influencers compared to when it's your profession. She's teaching my wall workout. And I was like, people actually do that. They just steal and this is a extra, I think, information for people who aren't in the fitness field. Just as a side note, that there are a lot of people on YouTube who just post their personal workouts, but don't really have maybe the background into the structure, and maybe taking from their personal trainer or group fitness class, that we want to make sure whether we invest in our time for Pilates or something else, or in a business, that people actually have the qualifications and experience to be teaching. And I think that's a big element that I've realized with not only fitness, but the investments that I've made for the business as well, kind of researching that element a little bit more rather than just like shiny object, like, oh, they're telling me this is going to be really good, but you get in there and you're thinking, no, this is not the right fit.
Yeah, we've had that happen too with other people, like literally just stealing our content, where we've had blog posts that were doing really well for us, and they literally just copied and pasted our entire blog post or our entire article from a website, put it on their website, put it on their social media post. And it's like but the thing is, like back then, there didn't used to be all the tools that you have now to file copyright claims with Google or Facebook or something like that. Now there are. And so we can file those copyright claims. But the thing is, you don't ever find it all. That's the other problem, is that you don't always find it all. When it's somebody that is not necessarily very successful in their business, it's not a big deal. But like you said, if it's a bigger influencer, then that kind of is a problem. And I know that for a lot of those bigger influencers, it's not necessarily them that are stealing the idea. They have like teams of people that are searching for content and ideas and putting it together for them. And so a lot of times it's somebody that's working under them that just put it together for them and they don't even know. I think, what was it? Jay Leno used to be famous for like stealing other people's jokes.
Know that.
Yeah. And I'm sure it happens all over in the showbiz industry. But yeah, that's something that I'm sure happens all the time. And I've seen it happen with other influencers too. So you're not alone. But yeah, that can be a problem.
Yeah. And I've realized I just need to let it go, right? Because we can obsess about that happening and go down this rabbit hole of trying to find others, or just, you know what, maybe someone watching that one video will eventually make their way to one of mine and realize the difference. And that is actually something that a lot of people say to me. And I never bash like other channels that I think are not really sticking to Pilates and the intentions of it. But many people say, I realized before I actually wasn't doing Pilates. However, their journey got them to where they are, and now they're in my world. So I think whatever motivates people to work out or pursue a slightly different path, let's celebrate that. And we can learn from, okay, well, I'm just not going to take those classes anymore. And a lot of people have realized like, oh, the longer I'm with you, the more I recognize that at first it was about a good workout, and then I need to go back and refine a little bit. And I think it's very similar to business, where at first it's like, let's just get the revenue and make sure I can financially support my family. Of course, I'm finding enjoyment in the business, but then we get to that point. It's like, oh, what can we refine to make things more streamlined? So it's maybe more in alignment with our just business model, so we can start having other people help us. The systems is something that I am focusing on or refocusing on after kind of getting away from them from some time. So the systems that can really help us as we are growing our businesses.
So we've talked about how to monetize your YouTube channel and different ways of doing that. Some people rely on the ad revenue. Other people rely on sponsorships and collaborations. And I think what you're doing with your membership is definitely the way that I think it's the most profitable way to do things, because it's your own revenue stream, right? It's sustainable. You can adjust your pricing as you need to. And then once you have a customer, then you can upsell them into other things. But with your membership, can we go into some detail about how you're getting people into that? Like, do you have a call to action in your videos that say, hey, I have a paid membership, you can join here? Or are you pushing them towards your email list first and then getting them in that way? Or what's your strategy for building that membership?
I found for the most part, getting people on my email list first helps, because this is one element that we are evaluating, I would say, over the next, not only for the end of this year, but beyond, is some people say, well, why should I join the membership when you have YouTube? Mm-hmm. And the number one thing people say once they're in is, I didn't realize how much more the membership is, how much more convenient it is. Like everything else goes off, not being bombarded by ads or by other videos calling my attention. I really can focus just on my Pilates practice. So we do have a call to action at the end of some videos. We have a membership, but for the most part, it's enrolling in maybe a Pilates series that we offer, or joining the email list, because then they get to know more. It's more than just a workout, I would say. And that helps people understand the value of then the membership.
Okay. So in your videos, rather than go directly into the membership, you're pushing them towards your newsletter or, some sort of freebie. When are you putting that call to action in there? Is it typically towards the beginning of the video? Is it somewhere in the middle, or are you always waiting to the end?
I typically wait until the end. Sometimes I'll put it more towards the beginning. So as an example, I teach split apart workouts where they are designed if someone has a shorter amount of time and not a full hour, that they can move with different segments of it, just the way we're warming up the body and whatnot. And so occasionally I'll pull just a segment of that split apart workout for YouTube. And in that case, I'll mention this is part of a longer length workout that's available in the membership. I go back and forth with that. And again, I really sense that if we were to have this conversation in another 6 months, that my answers would be different because we're looking into a shift in YouTube. For instance, I'm considering, well, do I just pull off a lot of videos that we have available on there now and shift content more to the value of Pilates and tips, and more of the workouts are housed within the membership? I know a lot of people who currently move with me on YouTube would not be happy. I've already removed some videos, and I'm talking, these are videos, they're not good quality. So I felt like, oh, not many people are moving with these. I'm not really, getting feedback on them. And I looked at those that are lower performing. So we're going to remove those from the channel. And it's interesting because whenever we do that, then we get an influx of emails. Where did this video go? It was one of my favorites, which I appreciate, but it also goes to show on YouTube, whether it's YouTube taking things away or we from a business decision decide that, our model has evolved since my original vision of offering classes on YouTube, that elements are constantly going to not only be added, but be removed.
And then with that call to action, is that in every single video that you're doing a call to action, or is it only in some videos?
This is where I'm you want your cake and eat it too type person. Like I never understood the saying, like, you're just gonna have a cake there and not eat it. No, I really like the best of both worlds. I like to offer that. And so we go back and forth with the call to action directly to a series or some way to get on the email list, to watching another YouTube video. Right. Now we don't do this. We do pick one strategy or try to pick one strategy per video. So the advantage of watching another video from Trifecta Pilates is then that will trigger the YouTube algorithm. Oh, these people like seeing Trifecta Pilates. Their overall watch time goes up, and then they're more likely to recommend my videos than when they come back onto the platform again. And the other strategy is simply one that I'm trying to implement more, like or leave a comment. Again, that tells YouTube people are engaging with the videos. And I found that people just keep coming back. They get to know me more, and then eventually join the email list. So it's between those three strategies. And it's really, if you don't want your YouTube channel to grow, then maybe it's just always a call to action. But here's the thing, if they're going off platform of YouTube, that's kind of like a ding, because YouTube wants to keep them on YouTube. And so I try to play with that a little bit, and also know, even though YouTube is not the biggest source of revenue that I have, it still is a significant source. And why I originally started YouTube was I wanted to bring Pilates to people who couldn't maybe afford a traditional Pilates studio setting. I was working at university at the time, and there was a lot of homeless population, students who were going there who were couch surfing and definitely could not afford going into a studio or a gym wherever you exercise. And so I always keep that in mind, that there is still people who get value from YouTube. And also, I know that the membership is even a more beneficial experience for people who want to go that next level.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up about, pushing people to another video, because that's more of an advanced, like YouTube SEO tactic. What a lot of people don't realize is that there is not a YouTube algorithm. There's, in fact, like several different algorithms running in YouTube for each different placement. So you have like the homepage placement, you've got the browse features placement, you've got, suggested videos placement. All those have their different algorithms. And so sometimes when you watch a video, when you're on a video and then you look over on the right, like if you're on a desktop, you look on the right-hand side and there's all these different suggested videos. What you want to happen is for all of your other videos to show up there, right? When somebody's on your video, you want your other videos to show up there. When YouTube is suggesting other people's videos, that typically means that those are the most likely videos that people want to watch next. right? So if you are creating a video and your call to action, like you said, is always to push people off site, well, then YouTube is going to recognize that, and it's going to say, okay, well, what do I show them next on this browse features to make them stay on YouTube? Right? That's what they're thinking. And so that's why your videos aren't showing up as the next video to watch. But when you keep pushing people off to your own content at the end of your videos or even in the middle, that's when YouTube is going to show your videos more in the browse features. And then below your video, there's also other suggested videos. And so, yeah, you want your videos to show up as much as possible in those other placements as well. And so that's why, like you said, there's always going to be a good mix of, do we push people off site? Do we push them to another video? Do we push them to a playlist or something like that? So yeah, YouTube algorithm is much more complicated than a lot of people realize. And there's a lot that goes into it.
For sure. And as well with YouTube is they're always shifting and fine tuning as a business should do. And so if we get stuck in like one mode, if the algorithm has a shift, then we may not have videos to support kind of a new trend. And so that's why I like to play with that diversity. And something else that I was just reflecting on and thinking, okay, this is what we're doing for fall is completely ditching like call to actions or go on to the next video and just more like personal videos, informal, where it's not really structured, but more of answering common questions that I get, keep them really short. And in that way, it's just people getting to know me beyond a good workout or beyond the professional development videos that I've created. And that's a strategy I learned from a course I took about a year ago. And what happened was I was really excited, got into that strategy. But what happens many times in business, I feel like we get pulled back to our typical way of operating because that change sometimes just feels too much. And so now it's like, how can I make this easier to implement that strategy I learned a year ago so that I am pushing forward in a way that's getting to know people a little bit more. And I feel like that connection is at the heart of social media. Sometimes people don't consider YouTube social media compared to like Instagram, Facebook, but there is a different connection on YouTube compared to like just watching a television show as an example.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love for you to touch on thumbnails and titles because I feel like that is huge and people if they're just getting started or they haven't taken off yet with YouTube, this should be exactly where they should be focused is on thumbnails and titles. So what have you found that's worked well for you? And did you have a shift at some point where it started to click and things started to come together for you there?
I'm still playing with them, 100% transparency, still playing with them. One element that has really worked is for the actual title to have that pretty similar to what people are searching for. So if they're searching 20-minute total body Pilates workout, I'm going to keep it pretty close to that. And sometimes just changing a word can make a big difference. So we noticed a few years ago, rather than total body, if we put in full body, actually we saw an uptick in videos. It's like the same thing, but just that word switch for us helped us at the time. Now, of course, that switched. And then in the actual thumbnail, we try not to repeat the same exact title. Sometimes we do, just depending upon the video, but we try not to. So it would complement what people are reading for the actual title. I've noticed that if the position is interesting, that's kind of like unusual to what you typically see in Pilates, people are more likely to click on it for a workout video. So I think about from the workout I just taught, what is the most interesting and intriguing position? So people are like, oh, that's something different. People kind of like that novelty. It's why you see people like pointing to videos and, on their thumbnails, which I still, for my face to camera where I'm not teaching a workout, figuring out what feels good for me that's eye-catching, but doesn't feel like too over the top. For instance, when people like gasping, I just don't really like that. Maybe I need to ditch that. I think it's a matter of one thing people have told me is they feel like I'm authentic and real. And maybe it's because even on the thumbnails, I'm not doing that because I wouldn't do that in my everyday life. So I think it's a matter of playing with it a little bit and just giving it a go. And here's the thing, we need to give it a go for longer than a week, right? We need to see if after, a month, if it's working, or if we need to change. And this is something that sometimes with the YouTube algorithm, people say like, what are those first 48 hours like? That's going to determine how successful your video was. Well, that's a big general rule of thumb, whereas some videos are after 2 weeks, they start gaining traction. And the first 2 days isn't a good indicator. So it's really getting to know your analytics and kind of tapping into that a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Do you have any specific tools to help you with it, like split testing thumbnails or coming up with juicier, more clickable titles or anything like that you use?
So I use TubeBuddy. That's really helpful. And for me, I could definitely have a greater growth in the YouTube channel. However, I refuse to use words like sculpt or tone. They're somewhat nebulous, or Pilates for weight loss. I feel it's very toxic and shaming. And so a lot of the really popular videos, not all of them, on YouTube searches are those that we just refuse to do. I am not a weight loss expert. There's so much more benefits to movement besides just losing weight. And when we think about overall health as well, this is like my health educator hat I'm putting on because I have a degree in that. Like when we think about weight as well, it's not an indicator of health. And so that's actually an element that, okay, if I know that, then shouldn't I be sharing that as well to help validate what other people experience, right? And now what's beautiful is we're hearing about this more from different, whether it's Pilates or just a personal trainer, that the obsession of weight loss actually isn't necessarily going to be beneficial for our health, that it's the overall what we're doing throughout our daily life. And sometimes that means that we're going to lose weight. And sometimes it means we're going to gain weight because we're gaining muscle, which is absolutely amazing for the body.
Yeah. So have you ever thought about using those keywords, but in like just like you said, instead of just saying Pilates for weight loss, why Pilates for weight loss is toxic?
I have, and I've even been considering, because, okay, I'm 45. I have seen shifts in my body. Another Pilates teacher I know who was 47 was saying, I'm in this new body now. Like, I have gained weight over the past few years. And when I say this, people are like, well, why aren't you obsessed about it? It's just, maybe it's because I'm sitting more now compared to my university job. Maybe because perimenopause, there's all these considerations. So I've been thinking about that point exactly in different ways. So again, I feel like in the next few months that if you come to my YouTube channel, if you were to go like right this week, which we're filming this on August 16th, that it's going to have more of that, the information videos to support why we're teaching in the way that we are.
Beth, this has been an awesome conversation. We really appreciate you. If people want to learn more about you, where should they head?
Well, what we've been talking about all along, definitely you can connect with me on YouTube at Trifecta Pilates. If you want to see everything that we offer, head over to our website at trifectapilates.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You've been listening to the Digital Trailblazer podcast. For show notes and information about today's guest, head to digitaltrailblazer.com. Now, if you love this episode, if you got some value, make sure you leave us a review and subscribe. And be sure to share this episode with anyone you know who could use help to build their business. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.